Welcome to the G-Spot.
Five, four, three, two, one.
Hello everybody and welcome to Dynamic GT League's G-Spot for G34. It's been a while, folks. It has been a while. It doesn't mean that weird shit hasn't been happening. It just means that weird shit has been happening with my computer and I've not been able to do any of the G-Spots for the last 5 weeks. Joining me is Raymond. How are you, Raymond?
Don't let him lie to you, just couldn't be arsed.
Well, there is that as well. I mean, I had a choice. Play on the computer or have a frustration exit. I went with the frustration exit.
Literally.
Yeah. Okay, so what is the G-Spot, Ray?
The G-Spot is the weird and wonderful things that happen in the race and any incidents that happen. We have a wee talk about and for educational purposes.
Absolutely. Now, at the time of us recording this, I am aware that a clarification has been requested from race 8. We don't have the footage of that or a decision of that on this G-Spot because the admins are not available at the time to be able to have a look at that, so that'll be on a later one. And also anything that was prior to this championship I haven't got the footage of anymore. So what we're going to look at here is from last week's events where a report was placed. So we'll get to that in a moment as we get ready for the footage. Don't click play yet though, right? Because I'm going to do a little bit to camera where I go. So let's get ready in 3, 2, 1. Okay. G1 Race 6 report. Which means there was a report from Race 6. Ray, would you like to tell us what that report was?
Yeah, lap 6 felt I was getting forced in the pits. 3 swipes. Well, at least it wasn't 3 shakes.
Well, was it 3 swipes left or 3 swipes right? Because if it's 3 swipes left, that's a no.
I don't know what size I put on.
Well, I'm on about Tinder.
I believe he was a culprit. Could this be looked into?
Okay. And what did the stewards decide?
I don't know. What did the stewards decide?
Did you not check that information?
No, I just...
you just got the report. Bloody hell. I don't know. So when I said you want to get the information from the report, I did mean the the outcome of it as well. But it's all right. I can get it. You're all right.
Give me a second.
I can get it up.
That's not what she said.
Well, true. Right, whoever can get it up first.
Right.
Fucking hell. Yeah.
What was that? 89?
No. 6. Or was it 7? No, it was 6. Because we've just had 7 and 8. Can you tell we've not done a G-Spot for a while, folks? We're about as
all over the place.
We're about as organised as a bag of dicks in a fanny factory.
Stewards report round 3. That's what the heading is on the stewards report.
Is it? Oh,
yeah.
Right. Oh, right. Well, Steve F1. Let's have a look. Oh, well. Technically, it is correct. It was the third week of the championship. So He's gone with his touring car sort of round 1. You have race 1, race 2. Round 2, you have race 3 and 4. Round 3, you have race 5 and 6. Confusing for everybody else, but yeah. Right.
Stuart, due to a close pack battle on the pit straight, he moves across on Gary several times, resulting in minor contact between the cars. Stuart's verdict, no penalty. From reviewing his steering inputs on Hayes' car, the stewards believe he was trying to stay in the slipstream of the car in front rather than intentionally trying to force Gary into the pits, as he doesn't steer towards Gary at any point and turns away from him after first contact. That sounds confusing. However, as we have noticed a few instances of this lately, we'd like to remind all drivers that if you have another car alongside you, then you cannot move across into them. Excuse me? This wording's just hypocrite. And to them to stay in the slipstream.
Yeah. Well, when you see it does sound confusing, but thankfully that's why we have the footage. So we'll get onto the footage and then we can talk a bit about those, like the different factors. So let's get ready to watch some of this action in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Okay, so we're looking here from spectate view. Hay up the inside of Gary. Bit of contact there, not a lot in it, really, but it's sort of down the hill. You don't really see a lot other than a couple of bits of contact there from this particular camera angle. But we'll go to Gary's view, and it does almost look like Hay just come across and sort of nudge him a couple of times. But this is why as stewards we look at many different things, and you can see from this angle that Hay looks like he is just trying to keep that slipstream, but there is contact with Gary next to him. But I'm going to show Hay again. Look at the red dot, which is his steering input. At no point does he steer to the left, so he isn't trying to put Gary in the pits. But we'll get onto that in a moment as well.
There, so
he should have been turning right more. So there is more to it. But so to touch on sort of the key points there are, so the stewards were asked to look into whether Hay was trying to put Gary in the pits, and the answer to that is no. What Hay's done is he's basically driven in a straight line trying to keep the slipstream. However, his straight line does move him across the road into a car, and that he shouldn't do. Is it enough to warrant a penalty? No. It's enough to warrant being told, don't do that. Now, if it had resulted in Gary going in the pits, Hay would have been getting a penalty on that one, unless he waited. But that is a good example of one of those situations where when two cars are side by side, even if you don't steer, you can't just push a car out the way. You can't just keep moving across. But it was clear to see that Hay didn't make any input to the left towards Gary. So I understand that the steward's report there is a little confusing, because it's like, well, he didn't turn left into him, but he has made contact with him, but it's not worthy of a penalty, but don't do that. I know that's all a bit confusing, but it's because there are many different factors to it. So if it had been turning left, it would have been big fucking no-no. But also, yeah, if you're going to follow a car's slipstream, you've got to make sure that there isn't a car next to you that's already there. Now, I do know there was a couple of examples which I might put on the next G-Spot if I remember, from race 8, where I know Gary had contacts with other cars and had no idea that the contact had happened, and it wasn't small contact either. So I understand that, Hay may not have realised there was a car there through any contact, but that's where we're saying that things like that, well, that's driver awareness and driving standards. That's one example where it needs to be a bit better, because as you said, the road curves to the right, so he should have been turning right a bit more. Anything else you want to question or add?
Nope.
Okay, I think I covered all of that. I think so. But yeah, so to touch on again, I mean, in that it does sound, I know it's a bit of a bugbear of yours, because it is frustrating when you're driving along and a car next to you does move into you. It is frustrating, especially if they are following someone's slipstream, or they just don't know you're there, because it can, when you're on the receiving end of it, it can feel like you're being victimized, or you're being attacked, when I think on a few occasions it's just general lack of awareness. Unfortunately, Gary did do it to me in race 8. I think it was, race 8. But admittedly, he was concentrating on the cars to the right of him. Didn't realise I'd got up the left-hand side of him. So I can kind of understand him not realising that I was there. But at the same time, it can get frustrating, especially if it's happening a lot. Any thoughts? No? Alright, then we'll move on to the next one, shall we? Now, this one we'll just go straight into in a moment. I will give a bit of a pre-story to this one. This is something that we saw but didn't see on the race footage from... was it? I think it was race 7? Yes, it was. It was race 7 in the Renault Megans again. Now, kind of saw a bit of it on the race footage, but couldn't tell exactly what happened. So I figured we would have a little look at it. So here we go. Let's get ready. You got your video into the right part, Ray?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Let's get ready in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. G2 race 6. Party on the dance floor. Okay, so we're on board. Oh, we're on board with Rich here coming down to the corner. And Harley, okay, you can't park there, mate. You can't park there, mate. Oh, what about you? You can't park there, mate. Fucking hell. Now, clearly, something has gone on down here, so let's have a look. So Jimmy's coming into this right-hander and all gets a little wide and clips the barrier. Oh, Dave the Art says thank you for that. Oh, hello, Bob. So I wonder what was going on there. Right, well, let's have a look from Dave. So Dave's defending from someone. Oh, a bonnet appears, and we'll get to that in a moment. So Dave watches Jimmy tag the barrier, says, thank you very much, mate. So here's SRI, so maybe it was his bumper and bonnet. But a bonnet appeared behind SRI, okay. Oh, and another one. Right, okay, so that's where the 3 cars ended up in the barrier. So here's Gary up alongside SRI. But okay, also, it wasn't Gary that nudged SRI, it came from behind. So, bit of chaos, bit of carnage, and here comes Rich Blows. So, thank you, what car pod there, mate. So, let's have a look from Bob. Hey, he's trying to get into a bit late on the brakes, I think. Tags the back of SRI, tags the back of Gary, and for Bob, he does it, Jimmy. He goes, we'll see you, Jimmy. Anything you can do, I can do better. So, interestingly, so we're looking at it from here, actually. Hey, yeah, I mean, it's a bit messy, that, I'll be honest. Too late on the brakes. The only plus side is that he did wait for the guys, but one thing we did see there again was, obviously, he's making a move on Bob, but his car is moving across. Now, Hay may not be aware that he's making as much contact with other cars as he is doing, so it is something that I would perhaps recommend for Hay to keep an eye on, because it's little contacts like that can end up resulting in big crashes as well. But also, Hay was a bit late on the brakes there, which definitely went into the back of SRI and collected Gary as well. For Bob and Jimmy, though, that was just funny. Although, for Bob, I'm just going to have a look at this. Let's just double check, because I'm pretty sure Bob went into that corner in 10th place, hit the barrier, spun, and came out of it in 7th place. Actually, 6th place. So Bob fucking up a corner, managed to gain 4 places. So well done, Bob. Yep. Right. Well, that's all on that one. Anything you'd like to add there, Ray? No. Okay. Is there anything that you would like to talk about on this latest edition of the G-Spot?
I don't know, is there?
I don't know.
Is there something I'm supposed to talk about?
Well, I don't know. Maybe. I said maybe. Well, one thing that I will go on.
After this race, there was a message sent to all the drivers.
Oh, what was that?
Yeah. Oh. They're very naughty. Just about driving standards. So, admins have seen a little drop in them and would like them to be picked back up.
Which I think is a fair comment. I mean, one of the things in Dynamic GT League is that, obviously, as you've said many times, try doing things different from one season to another. It's part of the dynamic part of it. And I think as admins, we're aware that there's the potential that the format of this championship may be adding to a drop in driver standards, and by that we mean things like, obviously we're not practicing in these cars on a Monday, but also the drivers that don't normally get to practice, instead of them having 9 races in a championship in the same car and getting used to it eventually, it's obviously a different car for every race, so there is no getting used to any of the cars. So that could be a factor. And like we saw with the Ferrari F40s around Tokyo, they were very slippery around there, which I do think also added a bit to it. But the thing is, I mean, we've seen a big increase in driver standards prior to this championship, so maybe we just commentators cursed it.
Your fault.
Yeah. Or maybe drivers are not aware that they've been doing things, and maybe drivers that have been being affected by things that happen perhaps haven't been reporting them, because we've said before as admins, if as a driver others are doing stuff that is doing your head in, or you don't think is right, send it to the page and we can deal with it. If you don't send it to the page, then we don't know that it needs dealing with. Other than that, have a frustration exit. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, regarding the format of the championship, I know as admins we talked about it last week, and I think we're all in agreement that, okay, it was worth a try, but we're not sure if this format has really worked. However, if you look at the championship standings, it's definitely worked. For what we wanted as a result in the standings, it has definitely brought something new, something different. It's mixed things up. But the physical element of it, it's a bit like when Formula 1 have tried changing qualifying formats. And you're like, okay, the outcome might be what you want, but the way it gets there is not very good. And that may be the case with this particular championship.
Possible.
It's Kimmy. I'm going to start calling you Kimmy. Kimmy Ray. What one word answers possibly?
Did you say Kimmy?
No. Neither did Kirsty. Leave her alone. Put her down. Oh dear. Right, okay. I think we shall end there. Obviously, it's been a while since we've had a G-Spot, so we're not going to waffle for too long. We'll see how the last race goes. Last races go in this championship, and then we're on to the dirty ones. Which, yeah, just enjoying, folks. Have fun. That's all that's about. Excuse me. Sorry, Dave. Oh, my goodness me. Anyone think I've been drinking beer? Right. Anything else we need to touch on?
that I know of.
Okie doke. Right, have a good one, everybody. Thanks for listening, watching. Like, subscribe, hit the notifications bell, you know what to do. And we'll see you all again soon.